Hey, welcome back, guys. Project Firebird episode 4 still underway, still going strong. Couple hiccups here and there, but everything's all right. So anyway, today we're gonna just jump right into the rear end. That's what she said. Like, never. I know, but hey, moving on. Hey, cruising right along here. We're gonna get into the rear end. We're gonna replace springs. We're gonna do the brakes. We're gonna play with some other stuff. Yeah. So let's get right to it then, shall we? Let's just jump right into the rear springs. They're pretty much the easiest to replace. No worries at there. I mean, they pop out really easy. Go back in. I mean, yeah. Nice, sweet, in and out. You're ready to go. Now, anytime you upgrade your coils, you need to cut off some of this bumper up there. I initially cut off half of it, so just so you know. All right, now moving on to the brakes. Let's get those puppies off. There's the caliper bolts and then the caliper mounting bolts. Let's take all 4 of them off at the same time. It just makes it easier that way when they're all still on the car, just in case something's frozen up.
You loosen all 4 of these. Why? Because they're a whole lot easier to loosen up on the car than they are once you get it off.
Alright, and now it's time to squish that brake down with that mighty big C-clamp that you see here. Just squish that the caliper, the puck, or the piston. You squish it as flat as you can. Sometimes, though, you get a little too flat and it pops off like that. And it's no big deal, but it's a little, shocking. You're like, holy crap, what did I break? But everything's good. Okay, now here's a good time to have a piece of rope so you can wrap that up and tie it off so it's not going to fall and stretch that brake hose. Oh yeah, it's always a good thing to have the e-brake off before you try to remove the rotor. So you might want to do that. Oh yeah, look close, look close. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it comes off a lot easier.
And you always want to spray the brake down with plenty of brake cleaner because they put a coating on them, so it's an anti-rust coating. You want to spray that off, and there you go. Whoa, back the truck up. We need to adjust the e-brakes. Pop that back off. Okay, come on. And that dirty little bitch was frozen, so that's a good reason why we pulled it off, wasn't it? Alright, now on to the rear end. We're taking off all these little bolts here. Every single one of them. This is a GM10 bolt, so there's only 10 of them, not 12 like others. Alright, so as we're getting into that, then after we get those out, we need to take a freaking rubber mallet, is always good, and some pry bars if you got them. They're cheap. You can get them at O'Reilly's or Napa or wherever. Pry the little thing out and get it open. So now it's open and we can take a look inside to the brand new gear set that I just recently put in not too long ago. Actually, I had that put in because there's a lot of little factors in there and I could not find information on it. So anyway, moving along there, we're gonna pop the pen out and unscrew that, throw the little pen in. Once we take that and just use a little, you could use a socket, but I just use the end of my 3/8 drive ratchet and a little hammer and tap that through. It does come quite easy. It's not like a super pain in the ass or anything. And now we can slide the axles out so I can change the gaskets, and we'll be getting to that here in a second. Once you get the pen out, you can take the half moons. You push the axles in just a little bit, and the half moons will actually just fall off. They're just a little axle grabber, basically. That's actually the only thing that are holding your axles in. So, yeah, that's interesting enough, right? So, now let's remove the rear axle seal and the bearings. Change the outside axle bearings. When I had this done, I really don't think they actually did them, even though I gave them brand new bearings. So I thought I heard some kind of noise back there. Could be nothing, could be something. Figured might as well replace them now. So here we go on with that. All right, now into the rear axle bearing. We're going to remove that. And you can get the bearing remover from like O'Reilly's or any place like that. That's totally you know, you rent it and you don't have to pay for it. It's a free rental. You bring it back, you get your money back, everything's good. So you just use that while you need it to, and it's just a slide hammer. Put this little fitting in there, get it on, slide it in, start hammering the puppy out, and she'll pop out in no time. So, and everything's good. Make sure you use the right little adapter for the bearing, though. You can get too big of an adapter and end up scarring where the bearing goes, and if you do that, you have to clean it up and make it pretty before you put it back in, because you don't want any extra leakage or anything like that. Next, we're gonna put it back in, put the new bearings in, and the oil seal. This little great tool, this little power belt tool right here, is a seal installer, seal and bearing installer. It's all steel. You can rent that for free. You rent it to your local auto parts store, and you give them back to them when you're done, and as long as you got all the pieces together, they won't charge you anything, so that's always a good thing. So as you're getting that in there, you want to set the bearing in nice and easy, like you squish it in there and make sure it's nice and straight before you start pounding on it and stuff, and then get the right bearing seal or bearing installer, the right cup or the little plate thing that you're going to screw on there. Hammer that bad boy down, and then move on to the oil seal. Get that sucker in there. Make sure to always put like Vaseline or some kind of grease around the oil seal always before you install the axle, which would be coming right up after that. Alright, when you put the rear axle in, you want to really make sure, take extra care when you're sliding the axle in over the splines with the oil seal. Make sure you don't scar that. It would suck. Bad. Not good. And just so you know that it does take a little bit of finagling to get the rear or the axle into the second bearing, and then back into the axle, slide it into the gear set. So just so you know, it does take a little bit more than just slapping it in there, calling it good. Alright, after you get the axles in, now it's just time to get those little half moons, slide them back up in there, and push the axle back out so it goes into their little holder. There's like a little cup inside there that those half moons hold on to the axles and don't fall out. And after that, then slide the pin in there to keep the axles in their proper spots to where it won't allow those little half moons to fall out. When you get the pin in there, it usually goes in relatively easy. Sometimes you have to take a little hammer, tap away on it a bit, just kind of work it in, making sure always you want that hole to be in the proper spot to when it gets down in there, you can slide the pin inside, or the bolt, which has like a little end pin, I guess, that slides through. Sometimes if you don't get it quite in there or quite right, you got to slap that, tap it a little bit with the hammer to knock it in. Just always be careful and be really nice and easy. Once that's in there, set up and ready, you know, twist it down, tighten her up, and now on to cleaning off the gasket. And then after cleaning the gasket off there, put a new gasket sealer on there, getting the old plate back up. And once we get the plate back up, taking off the fill hole, there's a little screw, which it's 3/8 drive that you actually put the drive in there. You don't need a socket to break that loose, and start filling it up with a limited slip diff like this is, limited slip or a posi track. Actually, and with the GM limited slips, you always want to use Ford limited slip or posi fluid. It works better than any of the GM stuff or any of the other aftermarket stuff you can get either online or at your auto parts store. It's just best just to go to the Ford dealership themselves. They're the only ones that sell it, and buy 2 bottles. They recommend you only want one, or you only put 1 in. I always go with 2. And I've heard from other racers and other guys, 2's better than 1, and they're just little itty bitty bottles anyway, so use 2 of them. They're like $6 each, so $12 for the additive, and then the rest is 90 weight, 80, 90 weight, whatever you want to use there. Synthetic, you can do whatever you like on that, but because that additive is both synthetic and conventional, it mixes either way. Alright, so now we got the rear end back together. Let's get the brakes back on. Of course, that's way early in the show that I was pulling them off and started to put them back in there, but we left them off to the side for a little bit while now we're getting some brakes done. And did you notice that EBC actually supplies brake grease as well? So So you know, if you go in and ask a auto parts store clerk where the brake grease is and he laughs at you and tells you that somebody sent you on a wild goose chase, he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. He shouldn't be behind the counter. You gotta grease those up nice and easy, give them an in and out fashion a few times, make her feel it up alright, and then slam it in there and tighten those little rubber gaskets, you know, make sure those little dust caps are on properly. Oh, a long time ago when I first did them and didn't know any better, all of a sudden I got warped rotors, and I'm wondering what the fuck's going on. And oh yeah, because the fucking calipers are sticking because there's no grease in those slide pins. I know, cool story, right? Yeah, getting the pads in there, getting all that screwed down to the proper specs. Well, hey guys, thank you so very much for watching. I really appreciate it. Thanks for the 1K subscribers. We just broke 1,000. That's been awesome, and that's one main reason why I really wanted to get this out to y'all. We'll see you next time. I'll be trying to shoot out the next Project Firebird 5. I'll be shooting that out soon, and yeah, we'll be getting some more racing. I'll be streaming some more. It's winter time. It's time for work to slow down and me to get racing more. So, till next time, guys, we'll take care.